Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Tonight is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. This is live stream 791. If this is your first time joining me, kick back, relax. It's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then taking a look at a tabletop game. And it is a War Game Wednesday because we are going to be taking a look at Barbarossa Army Group Center 1941 from GMT Games. Yes, this is the second edition, which has just arrived. So we are going to be diving into this in just a bit. Of course, should also point out that if you're not familiar with the stream, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first and then move on to a look at a game. So it'll be about 30 minutes or so if you're watching live. So just put your feet up, relax, just hang out, have some fun. Of course, if you're watching 30 minutes or more after this stream ends, you can actually skip ahead past the tabletop gaming news if you'd like, although there's some pretty cool news going on today. But there are show notes. So in those show notes, you will find timestamps so you can jump right ahead. Of course, depending on what device you happen to be watching this on, those timestamps might also be right in the timeline of the video itself. Like I said, all depends on what device you happen to be using. So should point out, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming first look at County Road Z. Bow, 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 bow. When I have like some banjo music playing. This is a tactical skirmish level zombie miniatures game. So I will be taking a first look at this. This is going to be a standalone video. I'm going to do that. So check that out when it arrives, which will be very, very soon, probably over the weekend, to be honest. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. That's how it works. Got plenty of reviews from other reviewers other than me on thegaminggang.com. And, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. One of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, and I do want to point out you must be a subscriber to the channel for 48 hours or more to be able to take part in chat. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I do my best to pay attention to chat. I will do my best to respond. John Vogel is first out the gate asking, is it really a War Game Wednesday? Yes, it is. Why, yes, it is. Kevin R. Smith is here. Coco B is with us as well, sitting out on the deck in balmy 63 degree Fahrenheit or 17 degrees Celsius weather. So there you go. Sweet. Very nice. It's raining here in the Chicago area. It did warm up a little bit. It was in like the mid 70s, and then off and on all day long it's rained, and then it'll get sunny and it'll be like, oh, I guess it's clearing up. And then it'll start raining again. So that's how things are going here. Melwinius from York is joining us in chat. Good to see you, Melwinius. It's been a little while since Mal's been with us. So kick back, relax, and let's jump right on into the news. Because arriving in the fourth quarter of this year from Czech Games Edition is Starship Captains. Here's the scoop. Welcome aboard and congrats on the promotion. Your new starship is ready to embark on its first big voyage. Just scrape off some of the rust and she'll do fine. And that crew might look a little green around the edges, but they're your crew now. Make us proud. The stars are calling and adventure awaits. As a newly promoted starship captain, players are in command of their first starship and hungry to prove themselves in a galaxy full of space pirates, grumpy old androids, ancient artifacts, and interplanetary adventures. In this 2 to 4 player Euro-style game, which mixes action selection and engine building, you'll manage a diverse crew of cadets, ensigns, androids, and officers, each with different special roles and capabilities. By earning medals, you can promote and train your crew for even greater effectiveness. Similarly, you can upgrade your ship with powerful engine building technology for maximum synergy. What will you do with your enhanced crew and ship? Explore an ever-shifting galaxy full of dangerous pirates and interplanetary missions in order to boost your reputation with 3 distinct galactic factions for bountiful rewards. Manage a diverse crew of cadets, ensigns, androids, and officers, each with different special roles and capabilities. Earn medals to promote and train your crew for even greater effectiveness. And explore an ever-shifting galaxy full of dangerous pirates and interplanetary missions. You can upgrade your ship with powerful engine-building technology and boost your reputation with 3 distinct galactic factions for bountiful rewards. Do you have what it takes to deftly command your crew and become the best captain in the cosmos? We'll see. Now, go boldly. Starship Captains is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. Plays around 25 minutes per player. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.95 when it arrives later this year. Kevin says, Star Trek Lower Decks, the board game. It does have a Trek art style, that is for certain. I don't know how well that will go over with Paramount. They tend to protect their IP pretty well. First thing I thought of when I saw these uniforms, I was like, it is dangerously close to Star Trek. This could be an interesting game, though. There was a game from Victory Point Games. Now we're going way back. We're going back probably 2011. Now this is back when Victory Point Games was actually around. I don't think they really exist anymore after they got bought out by Tabletop Tycoon, although there is supposed to be that new edition. Well, it's a reprint. It's a print run, I should say, of Dawn of the Zeds 3rd edition that's coming. But Victory Point Games did a game, and it was called, if I remember correctly, Final Frontier. I did not review it. If I remember right, I think Elliot reviewed it. And it was kind of the same sort of thing where you had your ship and you had your crew, and your crew had different little skills they were good at and things like that. And you would draw cards that had missions. Kind of sweet. Sweet. This could be a lot of fun. I do like the art style. I think the art style is in line with Czech Games Edition's audience, I would say. So we'll see. We'll find out. Speaking of science fiction games, following a successful Kickstarter, Cogito Ergo Meeple will be releasing the science fiction game Solar 175. It's coming in Q1 of next year. Here's a scoop. Solar 175 is an epic Euro-style legacy experience for 1 to 5 players set in a dystopian sci-fi future. The game utilizes bag building, area control, and worker placement. It's inspired as a fusion between classic Euro games such as Orleans and El Grande and a unique thematic and evolving universe. Solar 175 is set in a prosperous, expanding solar system with immersive world building and engaging narratives. The game is rich on theme and will feature interesting ethical and philosophical choices, as well as engaging Euro-style gameplay. Play occurs across 3 cyclical phases: the draw phase, the assign phase, and the action phase. Players simultaneously draw workers from their unique embossed bag and assign these workers to jobs on their double-layered player board. During the action phase, players take turns to remove workers from these jobs and to perform a large variety of actions to help propel them to victory. The winner is the player with the most influence points at the end of the game. Influence points can be gained via many different strategies, such as helping to build giant megastructures, influencing the upcoming election, and building outposts across the solar system. Play continues until one player has built all of their 15 unique outpost tokens, which triggers the election phase and endgame scoring. Solar 175 has an innovative endgame scoring system which changes based on how the players interact with the game world. This creates unique winning conditions in each game, making each feel fresh and distinctive. The Legacy campaign contains dozens of hours of content with engaging narrative and multiple endings. Once complete, the game is fully replayable and the game world continues to expand and evolve endlessly. Solar 175 is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 40 to 120 minutes. I'm taking a guess that's going to depend on how far along in the legacy you are. Will carry an MSRP of $99.99 when it arrives early next year. I got to say, this game looks like it's pretty packed. It really does. I have to laugh because we're showing all the contents right there and then the box, and it's like, all that stuff fits in that box? I don't know. It looks like a pretty damn tight squeeze there. So this could be very, very interesting. I wish there was a little more detail about what you're actually doing as a player. I get it. Area control, there's worker placement. Yeah, okay. But what are some of these actions that you're actually taking? What are you doing? Are you expanding? Is it kind of like a 4X game? I don't think it is. I think there is expansion. I think there's development. I don't think there's conflict, though. Don't know. Have no idea. But this recently wrapped up its Kickstarter back in, I believe it was March. And, excuse me, did very well. So we shall see. This hit stores early next year. Make her have a quick sip here. Yes, of course, that sinus infection is still hanging around. Haven't shaken it yet. And it kicks in, never fails. It kicks in about an hour. I mean, it's all day long, but it really acts up about an hour before I start doing the show. It's like, what the hell is going on? Mr. Eddie T and Sarah D are both with us in chat. Mr. Eddie T is pointing out that he believes the company's name means, I think, Therefore, I'm Meeple. Very possible. Helga Ratbone's with us in chat. Also, Flaming Huron, our chat moderator for the evening, because I believe the Madman is gaming tonight because it is a Wednesday. I think it's every other Wednesday. This is gaming night. So, Flaming Huron is here. He is our chat moderator. So behave. On to some role-playing game news. The high fantasy role-playing game setting Tolus from Monte Cook Games is the subject of a money-saving bundle of holding. And here's the deets on the deal. Delver! This Tolus Cipher bundle presents the 2021 versions of Monte Cook's famous City by the Spire, Tolus. In the shadow of an impossibly tall stone column, the sprawling city of Tolus sits atop ancient dungeons that draw adventurers, delvers, from across the land. Humans, dwarves, elves, and halflings rub shoulders with leonine Liturians, winged cherubim, and even centaurs and lizard folk. Magic is everywhere. Intrigue and treachery abound. Someone always needs to hire adventurers to face bizarre chaositech. I thought it would be chaositech. Abominations, the fearsome, winter-souled, and dangerous soul magic. Delve the endless dungeons, and when you're ready, ascend the spire to confront an ancient and restless evil. Originally published to critical acclaim in 2006 for 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. I believe it was 3.5. I don't think it was 3. This was presented in September 2014 and again in 2016 for that edition. Tolus thrives again in new versions for 5th edition and the Cipher system, funded in a spectacular February 2020 Kickstarter campaign. As before, the Tolus core campaign setting book is lavishly produced with abundant maps and illustrations, multiple indices, heavy cross-referencing, hyperlinking and bookmarking, and quick access summaries. With this single book and the play aids in this bargain-priced offer, you can take starting player characters all the way to epic play twice over. For just $17.95, you get all 5 titles in the Tolus collection with a retail value of $75 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete 676-page Tolus core book in versions for both Cipher and 5e, plus more than 300 pages of bonus content, along with the 2 Tolus character portfolios, the Game Master screen, and the NPC deck. You can score these savings through June 6th. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. I know there was some discussion about this on yesterday's show in chat, so I figured, okay, I will certainly share this. If I remember right, I think the core book, when the core book came out, the core setting book, I guess we'll say, I think it was $100. And for some strange reason, I kept wanting to say that when the PDF originally came out, it was $99. But I think that was Invisible Sun. So, yes, which we have seen bundles for that as well. I've always heard really good stuff about Tolus. I've never peeked at it. Don't know. Have no idea. Flaming Heron says, not short on gameable material there. Yes, Coco B says, yes, the agents of Chaositech who have made ways of making you talk. Tasty Trekkies with us in chat. Good to see you. Double T. Thanks for hanging out. Kevin says that they might have to see exactly what they have from Tolus to see if this bundle is worth it. So Tessie Trek, he says, yeah, it was Invisible Sun that was a $99 PDF bundle. Yeah. Yep. I know that one. I know that one for sure. So Flaming Heron says, another game to run like Wifrip. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. There you go. There you have it. All right, on to our next piece. Now available in print from Exalted Funeral comes the old school Renaissance role-playing game Into the Bronze from Lantern's Faun Press and SoulMuppet Publishing. The plains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers hide silent, gloomy valleys where demons and lesser gods devise their evil plans. Defy the gods of Sumeria, behold the beginning of civilization. Into the Bronze is an RPG of sword, sorcery, and sandals in Mesopotamia from the Bronze Era. Created as an Into the Odd hack, ITB drinks from the same source as the old school games. There are 36 available backgrounds, 6 of which have access to a modular magic system by Magical Intonations. Several tables for creating scenarios and hexagons of your own bronze lands, a bestiary with its own creatures for players' immersion, a beautiful layout, awesome public domain images, and character sheets in A4 and letter paper size formats for free. This 60-page softcover is available through Exalted Funeral with the PDF for an MSRP of $20. Or you can grab just the PDF alone from Drive-Thru RPG at a special sale price right now. Normally it's $12. You can get it right now over on Drive-Thru RPG for $6. I know I had shared a news piece about this when it came out in PDF. And I know a lot of people really like Into the Odd. And this, I think, has a bit more of a, I don't want to say it's a Rune Quest feel. I mean, it is kind of Bronze Age. I shouldn't say it is Bronze Age, which Rune Quest kind of essentially is as well. So if you were ever looking to maybe do some Gloranthan role playing and not have to get into the deep dive, which Rune Quest's rules can sometimes be, I wonder where you would turn. I wonder. Hey, I'm not saying that, you can't enjoy this on its own either. So, but yeah, I thought I would share this once again because it is now available as a softcover. I think it's a zine size book, to be honest with you. It looks zine sized to me. 245 Trioxin is with us in chat. Very nice to see you, 245 Trioxin. You have to shoot me an email if you want to take advantage of getting the Mistborn adventure game, though. So I didn't notice an email from you. All right, on to the final news piece. Now available in print and PDF from Cool Mini or Not is Zombicide Chronicles. Here's the latest. Zombicide Chronicles is a standalone role-playing game set in the famous setting of the Zombicide board games. Take a deep dive into this rich universe, create your own survivor from scratch, or use a ready-to-play one, and prepare yourself for the end of the world. But this isn't your everyday nightmare about the zombie apocalypse. In Zombicide Chronicles, you show the undead that the living are still trying to fight back, and you've got plenty of guns and willpower to prove it. This book gives you the main rules and mission types to live your own Zombicide adventure, with quick and easy mechanics and gameplay that can be enhanced by the use of the Zombicide board game miniatures and components. You and your friends will be facing entire zombie hordes, meeting interesting characters, and exploring a huge metropolis with 10 different areas and unlimited opportunities to keep hope alive and the dead truly dead this time. Now it's time to ask yourself, what will your survivor story be? Delve into the world of Zombicide like never before. There's a zombie plague overrunning the world. The recently dead are roaming around, hunting the living, ready to tear them apart on sight. Some survivors choose to hide away in bunkers or caves. But that's not you. You're going to attack these zombies head on. You're going to commit zombicide. Zombicide Chronicles was created by the designers behind the acclaimed, get ready for it, the One Ring role-playing game. That's right. In collaboration with Need Games, and challenges players to work together, trust one another, and form strategies to fight the zombies if they want to stay alive. The 174-page hardcover is available right now for $39.99, or you can swing on over to Drive-Thru RPG, pick up the PDF alone for $19.99. Yes, there you have it. Pretty sweet. I gotta be honest, I hear about zombicide all the time. I very rarely ever share news pieces from Cool Mini or not, mainly because they don't need my signal boost, right? It's like, okay, alrighty. This could be kind of interesting, especially if it's got the creators of The One Ring behind it. That's kind of interesting. That would lead me to believe this is probably not super crunchy. Although I would also think that this should be a game that's really heavy into the combat side of things, the tactical combat. I don't know. I have no idea. Testy Trekkie asks, are these the same people doing the household Kickstarter? I don't know. I have no idea. Once again, I don't follow them all that much. I really don't. But I thought it was kind of interesting that they're releasing a role-playing game, because that is not necessarily their forte. So Melwinia says, well, thanks to me, as in me, pointing at myself, they did catch the Kickstarter for OSE. Sweet. Very nice. Yes. I really like Old School Essentials. I don't think it's necessarily the end-all, be-all of the OSR, but it's got everything that anybody could need as far as running old school adventures. That is for sure. Tom Clark is joining us in chat asking, what does super crunchy mean? Well, everybody's got a little bit of a different definition. The way I always define it, crunchy means in-depth and relatively complex game mechanics. Usually a rules light game, and usually when we talk about crunch, we're talking about a role-playing game. If we're talking about a rules light game, there's usually maybe one or two mechanics within the game system itself. You're not doing all these different mental calculations for a rules light game. So for an example, a rules light game might be, you have a challenge number, you have 3 6-sided dice, you roll the 3 6-sided dice and add your skill bonus or attribute bonus. And if you beat the challenge number, you succeed. And that's kind of the mechanic that's used for everything. A crunchy system, or a very crunchy system, tends to have a lot of different mechanics involved, and they don't necessarily always resolve the same way. So one example of that would be looking at Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You've got, sometimes you're rolling percentile dice, sometimes you're rolling a 6-sided die, sometimes you're rolling a 20-sided die. If you go earlier D&D editions, they may not be as crunchy, but sometimes they also have different mechanics. Like, for an example, if you're playing where you've got a 20-sided die and you need to roll higher than, say, an armor class in order to hit, but you need to roll lower than an attribute on a 20-sided die to succeed at something else, that actually is crunch. Now, I'm not saying it's crunchy. It's easy for most of us to figure out. not everybody, but so yes, that's what crunchy tends to mean. Crunchier means more complex, more mechanical systems that you need to understand in order to play the game or to run the game. Usually more so running the game, because a lot of times all you got to do is tell the players what they need to do. So 245 Triaxon said they spent way too much on Marvel Zombies. Yeah. I don't know if that would have been, I like the miniatures they've got for Crisis Protocol. I think that's what it's called. And I think they're excellent miniatures. What I'm not a big fan of is they have a bit of a diorama sort of look to them. So it's kind of like, well, Spider-Man's kind of crouched on top of that mailbox. It looks cool. I would like to paint that up and display that. I can't necessarily see playing with that miniature as Spider-Man in a tactical combat game. So Tom says, thanks for the explanation. Yeah, well, like I said, some people have a bit of a different definition, but that's how I define it. So there is that. All righty. So that's news for tonight. And of course, I was wrapping up. I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget that the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit Drive-Thru RPG or any of the other sites like Storyteller's Vault or Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. And if you happen to like this video, dig the channel, feel thegaminggang.com is a valuable resource for you, hell, if you like what we do, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by stopping by paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And gotta say, the madman himself left a very, very generous donation the other day. It was like, yowza. Because we are trying to get a new camera for the overhead shots, because the one we've got going right now seems to be on life support. So, anywho. So I was going to mention before we jump into Barbarossa that I think for the 800th show, we might do a little Q&A. I think what I might do, either we won't do a news section and we'll take a look at something, or we'll do the news, we won't do a first look at something. So either one of those. And I thought, yeah, episode 800, people want to ask questions such as, like Tom Clark just asked, what does super crunchy mean? You want to ask me on my approach towards running role-playing games, or how I got started doing this, or maybe you yourself are like, man, I could do this way better than Jeff. I can help point you in the right direction. So, like I said, to make something a little different for episode 800, right? Kind of a, landmark episode. All right, tonight we are going to be taking a look at Barbarossa, Army Group Center 1941 from GMT Games. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
That's your fourth cup of Wilkins instant coffee. Haven't you had enough?
I refuse to answer.
Why?
I'm taking the fifth.
Ach, hello there. Give the demonstration of my new invention, the goodies machine. The machine turns out delicious hot doggies one after the other. And thirst-quenching sodas also. Gives popcorn of the most tasty kind, plain unbuttered. Candy too, crunchy and dandy. Steaming hot coffee and ice cream too. These goodies are at a snack bar just waiting for you.
What was up with that gunslinger? It's like kicks open the door and he's like having a conniption. I swear, he made Mongo from Blazing Saddles look like a Mensa member. It's like, what the hell? Coco B mentions the 7-Up gunslingers were way more menacing than Pepsi's. Yes, Pepsi's gunslingers were like your grandparents. All they needed was the walkers. Maybe they were hiding the walkers out of the shot. That was kind of funny yesterday. Hey, but just think, we got another Wilkins coffee commercial where Wontkins lived. Wontkins lived. Yes. Okie dokie. Today, we are going to be taking a first look at Barbarossa, Army Group Center 1941 from GMT Games. Designed by Vance Van Voorhis, with artwork provided by Roger B. McGowan, Stephen C. Bradford, and Mark Simonich. This game is for 1 to 4 players. I thought it was maybe 2, but it's not. It's 1 to 4, ages 14 and up. Carries an MSRP of $89. It is available right now from GMT. Swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Barbarossa, Army Group Center, 1941. So I mentioned yesterday, I thought we had reviewed this at the Gaming Gang, the original edition, because this is the second edition, but I guess not. It was another Operation Barbarossa war game that was reviewed. I was like, wow, because I don't recall seeing a ton of Operation Barbarossa games out there that I've actually been exposed to. So let's get the shrink wrap off here. This is a hefty box. There is quite a bit inside, I can tell you that right now, because it's got some good heft to it. So let's take a look at the back. I'm not going to read everything off the back of the box, but June 1941, Army Group Center hurls itself through the Soviet border defenses, and its 2 panzer groups race headlong towards Minsk. Minsk and boo! I don't know why. I just thought of that. Behind them lie remnants of the Soviet Western Front, almost 1 million men in 4 armies. The Soviets are stunned by the German blitzkrieg. Their responses are slow, confused, and governed by pre-war contingency plans made obsolete by the speed of the German advance. In little more than a week, the German panzer spearheads meet east of Minsk. Though isolated units continue to fight, the entire Soviet Western Front has ceased to exist. Yeah, just wait. All right, so it is discussing that this game takes place after Hitler has decided to have half of the army group go towards Kiev and the other half towards Leningrad, thus splitting everything and making life far, far more difficult for the German commanders. Okay. Once again, I do want to mention this is a second edition. So this is brand new. I think the playbook might be something new. You know what? Real quick, let me show you something on the back. Hey, Viper Dave is with us in chat. Good to see you, Viper Dave. So there are a variety of titles that have been published for the Eastern Front from GMT that uses kind of the same system. It's the East Front system. And if you notice here, I'll even get a little closer up there for you. All of those are maps. These are all maps. And it's showing what game has those maps. So it is conceivable that you could connect these maps together and essentially cover the entire Eastern Front of World War II. All right, so first we're going to start off with the playbook. This game is complex. I believe it's around an 8. We'll take a look again when we're wrapping up. I want to say I think the complexity rating is an 8, which I've mentioned before. The complexity rating for GMT goes 1 to 9. It doesn't go to 10. And I always think that they're a little low on their complexities. So kind of jumping in here. This is going to have a traditional hex encounter look to it. Right there, you can see some of these counters are going to look like. This is more of a traditional war game, a Grognards war game. So we've got some learning scenarios, or a learning scenario. The Battle of Borisov, then the Minsk Pocket. I talk about it all the time. I tend to read playbooks before I actually read rule books when it comes to GMT games, because a lot of times there is a nice long example of play that really gives me a leg up, speaking of, on playing the game. So, and as we can see, yes, this is a nice long example of play. Now we've got some examples of specific situations: air missions, overrun, Soviet artillery support. Got a designer section talking about unit identification abbreviations for the Axis and the Soviets, historical notes, and we get designer's notes on the first edition as well as the second edition designer notes. Then we get the counter sheets. As you can see, we've got quite a few of them. I think there's over 1,000 counters in this. Get an expanded sequence of play. Yeah, so there is the playbook. We get a red 10-sided die. You might want to pick up a black one if you're playing 2 players. Give that one to the Axis player. Have the Soviet player use the red die. Okay, so here we have, this is the rule book, and it's going to clock in at 60 pages. So we're going to break down talking about the ground units, artillery units. You got air units here. A lot of informational counters as well. So, what are the phases? We have a weather phase. A replacement phase. A reinforcements phase. air unit readiness, and then ground unit movement. So there are zones of control. What are the other phases? Okay, so we get weather phase, replacements phase, reinforcements phase, air phase, naval readiness phase, supply status phase. Then we have the Axis player segment, movement, attack declaration, Soviet reaction, combat phase, motorized movement, engineering phase. And then the Soviets go through their side of that, motorized attack, Axis reaction, combat, movement. It's not motorized movement, it's movement, and engineering. And then we have the Soviet surrender phase, recovery phase, and victory determination phase. So those are the phases of each turn. Tessie Trekkie says, I know it's silly, but I always feel a little dirty playing the Germans in World War II games. I sort of do a little bit too. I used to play the Germans all the time. Now, this is going back in my teens, early 20s. And one of the reasons is because nobody else wanted to play him. So I was like, well, if we're going to play this game, I guess I'm going to be the Germans. So, but I see where you're coming from. It's like an American Civil War game. I feel a little, okay, well, I'll just tell you straight up. Normally, I will not play the Confederates. I will only play the Union. So there you go. There's me on that side. So, I won't play the Confederates unless it's a game like Herman Luttman has put together where it's like, well, it's a solitaire game and you're the Confederates and it's Pickett's Charge. You're like, okay, well, I'm reviewing this. I have to play as the Confederates. But otherwise, no, I won't. I will not play as the Confederates. Sorry. Russell Higgins points out, again, it's a game, not a simulation. Flaming Heron says, for them, at the end of the day, it's just a game. They can remove themselves from what happened. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. All right, so we've got the combat phase here. Combat results. Retreating, advancing. Insert map hexes. Aha. The scale of the inset. Oh, did I say insert? It's inset. Scale of the inset map differs from the main map. So its terrain from hex to hex does not always match exactly with terrain shown in main map hexes. That's interesting. So we got fortifications and railroad conversions. There's our Soviet surrender. Soviet special units. Armored trains, NKVD units. Militia. We've got other special units. All right. And that is the rule book. So let's take a peek here. These are kind of interesting looking. For a second, I thought these were the sheets of counters. I was like, that's kind of odd the way they're set up like that. No, these are actually scenario cards with looks like order of battle for the various different units that you have available. So, all right, so this is, I thought maybe it'd be a scenario like, here's scenario 2, and on the other side would be scenario 1, but it's not. So this is the Minsk Pocket and also the campaign. Give you a good look at what these counters are going to look like. We'll take a peek at those. So we've got that. Then we've got scenario 7, which is and also used for scenario 4. Is this the introductory? No. Soviet setup card for 3 fronts and 3 back. So this is special reinforcement pool groups, and then this says this is for scenario 5. Scenario 8 for the campaign. Wow, we already saw there was another one that we're using for the campaign. So you're obviously going to need quite a lot of space. Okay, so this card here, this top part is scenario 3. That's scenario 6. Obviously, this game is for hardcore war gamers. It's not going to be something that you're going to say, hey, I'd really like to play a war game that's the Eastern Front, the Germans and the Russians. Where can I get started with that? This is not going to be it. Okay, so we've got the Axis campaign. So these are campaign reinforcements here. And scenario 5. I didn't see scenario 1 in any of these. Okay. So we've got paper maps. I believe. Okay, so this is map card 1 front. So this you're going to play scenario 3 on this. This is map card 1 for scenario 6. So, okay, so this is card stock. So this is nice card stock here. Here's our learning scenario map. That's right there. Oh, so that's all we needed for, we didn't need something like this. Because for the training scenario, the learning scenario, we've got it right there on the card. Then we've got Axis Super Heavy Artillery Effects table. We've got a player aid, so we've got our combat results table. Combat effects beneficial to the attacker, beneficial to the defender. We've got the terrain effects chart. I'm going to tell you right now, that is some pretty small font being used. Did somebody forget that wargamers tend to be older? What's going on with that? Retreat table, Soviet surrender table, combined arms bonuses, Panzer Division integrity, overrun, air initiative, anti-aircraft, air combat, all right up in here. There's our combat results table. So we've got a couple of those. Got another chart and table card. So showing the informational markers, unit type symbols, unit type box colors, as well as unit colors. Flaming Heron says, I really need new glasses, or that is really small. No, it's very small. This is not so bad, but it is smaller than we're normally used to seeing on a player aid card. That font is pretty small as well. But that terrain effects chart was like, holy cow, that's really small. How to read the units. So do we have only one of those? Yeah, looks like we've got one of those. All right. Now we got another card here. And that's going to give us our attack supply, Soviet attack supply, victory conditions chart, victory point schedule, depending on the scenario. So when we were talking about crunchy, That would be, if we were going to be using that terminology for board games, and some people do. Some people do use that for board games. Oh, we have a couple of these at least. Then this would be super crunchy. Yes, Flaming Huron says the same thing. So we've got our expanded sequence of play. And this is what happens in a turn. All of this. There you go. There you have it. So to kind of give you an idea, it's weather phase. Determine the weather condition from scenario instructions or the appropriate scenario weather table. If storm occurs, move all air units in ready boxes to the flown box. So you're going to have all these various different steps for each of these phases that you're probably not doing each and every thing in every step, but it's all kind of like a checklist. So, all right. We have victory point track. So this is for, looks like that's for the Germans or the Axis. Looks like this would be for the Soviets. We've got our turn record track with dates on it. So you're looking at, if you play the campaign, it's 50 days. Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. 50 turns. And I believe it is 2 days per turn, so 100 days. So we've got a step reduction organization chart. Jeez. I was gonna say I didn't think these would be dual-sided. All right, now we've got our maps. So we've got, what we have? 4? Yep, looks like we got 4. Now these are paper maps. I'm not going to unfold each and every one of them, but I will give you a feel for the design on them. Some decent detail. We've got our rail lines. Looks like we've got some probably like dirt roads, paved roads. Got our little towns. And remember, as I mentioned, if you take a look at the back, here we have a bridge. You'll see that all the various different East Front system war games all have maps that can connect. So just think of it. I mean, well, there is some overlap. I noticed that. But my gosh, just imagine how large that would be. People talk about monster games. Oh boy. Okay, so let me give you an idea of this. So these are just 3 panels. All right, and then we've got a couple more. Do you have any major city that's obviously sticking out here? No. I was kind of curious because we were seeing some little towns. Yeah, I was just kind of curious what that might look like. All right, and then we've got all of our counters. And these look like these are 1/2 inch. So these are the smaller size counters. Dual-sided. Actually, pretty thick. They, maybe not. No, I mean, they are thick, but I was about to say, feel a little thicker than what we see from GMT, but no, I think this is just their standard, which is good, which is a nice, good thickness. So ground units here, we've got air units. Soviets. And there is a step reduction for these as well, I believe. Let's see. So we have 425. Oh, that just goes to ARM. 345. 115. So yeah, I think there's more than just one step. I do not believe that these are units where it's like, okay, that's one unit and they take damage, you flip it over, they've been reduced, and then I think there might be some units that have multiple reductions to them. Flaming Heron's asking, are they super big maps? I always worry with paper how much wear they can put up with, especially the bigger maps. I know a lot of people out there, they'll put plexiglass on top. I am a mounted map fan, but then again, I've never lived any place where there was such high humidity that I had to worry about warping map boards. But I know a lot of people do encounter that and they prefer the paper maps. These maps looked like they were 12 panel. Hang on, let's see. Or 8. 8 panels. So, except for the one that's only 3. So yeah, they are 8 panels. They are pretty good size when you unfold those out. All right, and then we've got some informational markers as well. So we have over 1,000 counters. Is there something else I just, oh, yeah. A map. I think we already accounted for that map. So we've got 1,000 counters. We've got 4 full-size maps, a small 3-panel map. We have some additional smaller scenario cardstock maps. Loads of player aids and various different unit accounting sheets. We've got our playbook and our rule book and our 10-sided die. And that is everything from the 2nd edition of Barbarossa Army Group Center 1941 from GMT Games. It is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, a variety of playing times. I can only imagine how long that campaign would take. And of course, it is available now. It does carry an MSRP of $89. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera. So I should point out, if you have any interest in picking up Barbarossa, just like any other GMT game, do not wait. Do not sit on your hands, because I'm going to tell you right now that these do not have big print runs. So once they're sold out, they are sold out. And games like Barbarossa are not games that you want to try to get on the secondary market. And this is a 2nd edition. I'm not sure when the 1st edition came out, but I can guarantee you it's been at least 5 years. So if it sells out and you don't want to pay top dollar on the secondary market, you could be waiting a good long time to see a reprint as well. So once again, don't sit on your hands if you're interested in picking up Barbarossa Army Group Center 1941 from GMT Games. Got to be honest, you are not going to see a review of this from me. Just, I know no one who I would be able to get this to the table with. Nobody. I don't have any friends I game with or family members that I game with who are that big into big, epic, crunchy war games. It ain't gonna happen, unfortunately. But at least gotta take a peek, see exactly what's in it. All right. Anyway, so Flaming Heron's talking about having issues with maps in the past. That maps just don't hold up to repeated play. What I tend to find is if a paper map has been treated where it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, I tend to find that those hold up better than just a matte finish. But then again, I have seen some matte finished maps that were much thicker paper that would hold up as well. So I'm pretty careful with my games. And I do not allow people to sit around like eating Cheetos and stuff like that as they're playing my board games and card games. Alrighty, that is pretty much it for tonight. So, do want to mention next week, June 1st, we are going to kick off our fantasy role-playing game extravaganza. Every night through June on the live shows, I will be featuring a fantasy role-playing game release, supplement, something. So it is all through June. We may actually be taking a peek at Castles and Crusades. I've kind of been going back and forth with Troll Lord Games a little bit. So we might be featuring them on the extravaganza. So fingers crossed on that. Because I've always been interested in checking out Castles and Crusades. I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's not that difficult to port like old D&D modules to it. But it's got a much more like modern 3rd edition D&D feel to it. So, I don't know. We will find out. On Monday's show, we are going to be taking a look at Heretic for Mirkbig, or as some people like to say, Morkborg. And this, of course, is from Free League Publishing. We're also going to take a look at, I think this is a Game Master's screen, Traps. So we'll take a peek at this as well. So that's going to be on Monday's show. And then for the first, we're going to kick off our fantasy role-playing game extravaganza with the first look at the Master Edition of Index Card Role-Playing Game, which is now available through Modifius Entertainment. I think the designer, I think it's Runehammer Games, if I remember correctly. So I have been looking forward to taking a peek at this because I've heard good things about this as well. So we're going to take a look at this. This is what we're going to kick off our fantasy role-playing game extravaganza on the 1st. All right, that is it for this time out. Once again, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central, but it'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, The Horned Rat, Chapter 4 in the 5-part Enemy Within Director's Cut from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. If you are watching live, thank you so much. Always appreciate it. And, of course, if you took part in chat, even if you just said howdy, thank you very much. I appreciate that even more because otherwise I'd feel like a doofus just talking to no one. But, of course, I know a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. I'll be back on Monday. So here's hoping each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.